You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show.
Welcome to MBwTFB with the Farx brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And we are here with,
Nell?
No, but I don't have the front of the page because I need to see Lorenz. We debated more how do you pronounce Lorenz or Lawrence than we did Wareham. Nell Lawrenz, is it Lawrenz-Wareham? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Nell, what is your position with the state of Minnesota?
Yeah, sure. My role is Deputy Director of Explore Minnesota Film.
And just so everyone's clear, we're not doing a debate because this is an interview with a government official. Anything Kirk says or the approved questions, anything I say is not, and maybe ignored. So, you know.
Yeah. All right, so the first question for this segment, for people who only vaguely know there's a state film office now, right? How do you describe what Explore Minnesota Film actually does in one or two sentences?
We administer the state film tax credit, and we manage the statewide free production directory of crew, locations, and production services.
Continuing off that question, the program has reportedly generated more than $31 million in local economic impact and 145 jobs in a recent fiscal year, with a threefold increase in active productions over the prior year. When you look at these numbers, what feels most exciting or most urgent to you?
Yeah, so I brought these numbers because those things have increased even since a week or so ago. Yeah, so now we can say that it's generated 40 million and 35 million just in the last fiscal year, which is great. So this year we've already allocated 11 projects. So last year it was 3, and the year before that was 4. So we've seen a big boom in interest, and I'm really proud of that.
What changed?
Advertising, and also I think launching the On the Case Again, the 30th anniversary spot that we did celebrating Fargo. We got a ton of inquiries afterward, and we basically, kind of like I was saying earlier, right, like we take familiar IP and then we reintroduce Minnesota and sort of help generate awareness.
Next question, you mentioned a 25% statewide tax credit on qualified spending with a $1 million minimum budget threshold. For an independent producer hearing that for the first time, what does that actually look like in practice? How does the money flow, and what do they need to know up front?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that it's not $1 million budget, it's $1 million minimum spend. And that's important because what people end up finding out is that, you know, if you have $1 million budget, not all that's in production, right? And we do accept development costs. You have to have already applied, but we really encourage people to apply as early as possible so that we can be supportive in that process. But what ends up happening, for example, is like a week or two ago, a project called Minnesota Goodbye won at the Tribeca AT&T pitch, which is awesome. It comes with a $1.2 million award, but 0.2 of that, $200,000, is set aside for marketing, which is wise, right? Like it's going to cost that much. But what that means is that the whole budget is $1 million. And then within that, the production budget's less, which means they end up not being eligible for the tax credit. So we're able to support them through, you know, the rebates that UMPO provides, connecting them with crew and locations. But we end up sort of seeing people fall right out of that eligibility. And so we're doing our best to make the program as accessible as we can. We've added new things that are, you know, eligible, like airfare, recognizing folks coming in from Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa at a tier slightly higher than just like non-resident in general, and trying to make a lot of other things easier. But ultimately, I think that can be the biggest surprise for people. So we just really encourage folks to like reach out to us as soon as possible. You even think you're making a feature film, you don't have to have a single dollar. You can always reach out to us and we can guide you through that process and let you know when it's the right time to apply. Really been trying to encourage people to look at us as like a resource and kind of a place where you can just ping ideas and we can try to put you in the right direction from the beginning.
Is the reciprocity because didn't Wisconsin and Iowa recently open film offices?
That's right. Yeah, it's not so much because of that. It really was, meeting with those film commissioners and trying to think about how to strengthen the region as an offering. And so that was an idea that I had to basically just make us more friendly to production. And so far we've seen with almost all the new productions that have been allocated that they are taking advantage of that, which is positive, right? Because you could, for example, live in Hudson, Wisconsin, drive 30 minutes in, be in, just northern Iowa, whatever it may be, and we want to be flexible to that and try to recognize like the challenges that artists may face around affordability and be as supportive as possible.
We know a guy that drives 4 hours from South Dakota to come here and make movies, and not
Right,
even
yeah.
features, just like
Yeah, I believe that.
He'll
shorts.
be on our show soon, I think.
He's
right?
we
Yeah,
have to.
he
We're
has
gonna
an
invite you.
invitation.
Don't worry.
Well, our next question. You now have a database of roughly 1,200 potential film locations submitted by property owners. For a homeowner or a small business owner listening, what's the process of getting added to that database? And what should they realistically expect if their production comes knocking?
Yeah, super easy to get listed. It's free. You submit, I think we asked for like 5 images of the location, whatever it is. And then basically you work with my colleague to basically get listed. You can get listed, I don't know, in like a day. It's very, very simple. And the other thing that I always mention is the home or property doesn't have to be in perfect condition, especially when people are looking for period pieces. Right now we're looking for a film for an apocalyptic zombie movie kind of thing. And so we don't need a perfect working farm for that, right? So I think, people might think that it's a ton of paperwork. It's not.
Well, beyond the headline productions, what's the day-to-day work life of your team when you're helping a show or film decide whether Minnesota makes sense for them logistically and financially?
Yeah, so day-to-day, like for example, today we had a set visit to a motion capture shoot for an animation commercial series. We spoke to a project that just applied that we're really excited about. We talked to a lot of interested artists, basically just guiding them through the process here for applying to the tax credits, looking at rebates that are stackable, also thinking things about like when is it high season in the summer, looking at hotel rates and thinking about, okay, maybe if you hotel in this town is going to be better for your budget, or even thinking about sort of how to get on-set teachers for like child actors. It's a wide range, but we're just trying to solve problems and help people land here. The other thing that we do is if people are interested, certainly when they come out to scout, we help them, navigate the area. We reach out to towns. For example, we were just doing this today. Like I was saying, we're looking for this farm, so we were reaching out to some farms that are already in our database to say, hey, just want to check that you are still interested and active. If a production were coming in these months, right, that the production's looking, would you be interested? And just try to make it a really smooth process for the productions once they get here, so we can kind of like present them like a series of options where they're able to really maximize their budget and they don't have to like waste any time. That's the most important thing.
Explore Minnesota Film has been connected with resources like the 10,000 Stories Fund, workshops, educational programming, and a growing network of nonprofits and community partners. If I'm a Minnesota filmmaker, where do you recommend I plug in first?
Yeah, I think, something that's really important is looking at places where you can not only show your work, whether it's a short or a feature, but go through those development opportunities. I think that's really crucial. Like I said, meeting your first producer, finding an editor that you trust, usually a few, right? And so looking for places that not only provide just like cash, but really like that professional development is key. And so I think I'm excited about like the support that we'll be able to offer with Film North for 10,000 Stories. There has never been support where that isn't tied to just like your career stage or even like your background or the kind of work you're making. This is totally open. I'm really excited about that. But then beyond that, it's really kind of like looking at the region, right? Like there's no expectation that one film would be totally developed and incubated within one state. That's not necessary, right? The idea is that you are inspired by the place, you're rooted in a place, and the ideas are free-flowing. And so I really encourage people to look at festivals within the state and also nearby that have those development opportunities. And, really, what would I say? Like, be open to the process when it's done well, taking time, don't not to rush that.
How do you tell it's being done well?
What do you mean?
I think that's the thing I'm asking myself constantly. Like, am I investing my time well? And how do I know I'm putting it in the right place?
Well, I imagine that's subjective or anything, right?
Yes.
But also that you're having progress, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Inner Game of Tennis, right? The idea is it's...
Only Infinite Jest for me.
I love that book. Have you read that book?
Oh, I've watched
Okay,
the
I was
movie
like,
where
we
he
could talk
talks.
about it. All
He
right.
committed suicide. I've watched the water
Spoiler.
thing. What?
Jeez.
Not in the book.
Oh,
in
oh,
real
the
life,
wor-
David
oh, the
Foster Wallace.
author,
Yeah.
It's a brilliant book. I think every media maker should read that book. It's crucial. But speaking about Inner Game of Tennis, which I highly recommend, the idea is that performance equals potential minus interference. And so how do you sort of remove as much interference as possible? In the book, they're talking about tennis, but it's really about mastering the craft, right? Continuing to learn is key, and just continuing to have not only the beginner's mindset, but also the kind of focus and drive to just continue to improve, continue to sort of seek results. I think that's how you know that it's working.
You've moderated conversations on creative tourism and explore Minnesota, literally connecting film festivals to travel. How do you think about the relationship between a strong film ecosystem and a strong tourism economy for the state?
I think it's really important. Like I was saying before, there's a piece that, I was talking about where there can be a lot of exhibition opportunities and there can be gaps, right, with development, which is where we're making our first, intervention through this 10,000 Stories Fund. We know development is one of the hardest stages, honestly, development in post, right? Like, to get funding, get people to say yes, start to trust you as an artist and invest in you. And so we're excited to kind of position Minnesota as a place that's like really seeking to support people early on and believe in them, and have this be a place that's really known for welcoming kind of experimentation and like weird ideas and weird art and like the kind of films that run the gamut. And then there's also the piece at the end, exhibition, and then distribution, which is really the end, but we'll kind of leave that to the side for now. But with exhibition, one of the things that we're doing is supporting film festivals across the state by sponsoring them, and then also trying to offer some useful panels, not only about just like the basics of how to apply to a grant. I think that folks know that, but they're trying to understand like, well, maybe why am I not successful yet, or what's getting in the way. And so we've been inviting people to come and speak. I've been, when I go to festivals, to scout people like from South by and elsewhere to come to the state. Maybe they have a connection to the state already. Like, for example, this spring we had Sydney Freeland come, and she directed 2 of the episodes in the upcoming Netflix series Little House on the Prairie. She's a super, super talented writer, director, producer. And it was great to have her come because she was good friends with McGizzy Pensano, who's already scheduled to come and is from here. And so they're having a conversation about basically how they rose from PAs to where they are now, where they're doing projects for FX and Marvel and Netflix, et cetera. And so kind of trying to move beyond just like the 101, I think is needed. And I think people really want the info and they want people to be transparent. So we're trying to offer that.
So you've talked about Minnesota expats, crew, and creatives moving back from places like Atlanta and Los Angeles because they see momentum here again. What are you hearing from these folks about why now feels like the right time to come home?
Yeah, I was recently speaking to some folks that moved here about a year ago from Altadena, lost their home in the fire. They came here, they were able to buy a home, put their kids in the Blake School, build an in-house studio, et cetera, and like how happy that they were here. And I've also spoken to some people who are really eager to move back. They're just sort of looking for the door. We heard a lot from those folks during the launch of the 10,000 Stories Fund, which I'm really excited about. I think that people really want to be in a values-aligned place that supports artists, that has good health care, that is like actually a beautiful place to live. That's why we moved back.
For people who only know Minnesota through the lens of Fargo jokes, what's something about the current generation of Minnesota film and TV projects that you wish more people understood? Wow.
Yeah. One of the things that was fun about that campaign, the 30 years since, is like, I'm in my 30s, so much has changed about the media and landscape, right? And it was a fun way to kind of like poke fun at that and also show what's shifted. So in that spot, we also purposefully filmed in Diane's place, and we're highlighting the Hmong community here and sort of how culinary scene and immigrant scene and sort of refugee scene has really shifted the way that Minnesota looks, and like kind of what is awesome about living here, and how it's like easy to access really great arts experiences, culinary experiences, performing arts. And I think that the idea of the spot is really to sort of say, we've been this home for really quirky, dark comedy. There's something about sort of like the cold and dark here that I think incubates a certain sensibility that we're excited to embrace. I was thinking a lot about kind of like the voice of Minnesota, whether it's Drop Dead Gorgeous or Thin Ice or Fargo, but also like how there have been a lot of films. I'm thinking about one in particular that I really liked, Bigfoot Woods, that came out this year. That is a rural story, but it's also about like a young trans person who sees Bigfoot and the town doesn't believe that they're trans, but believes that they saw Bigfoot,
exists?
right?
Wow.
And so it's playing with this idea of like what it is like to live in a small town and how to find your people. And the resolution of that film isn't that they leave the town. It's like that they have a hard conversation and continue to live together. And that they're also able to like embrace some quirkiness and absurdity about a potentially made up, potentially still on the run creature. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Minnesota definitely needs more heart-to-heart things. I mean, nowadays with technology and AI, get back to
that made me interested in
heart-to-heart,
stats. Do you have any stats around either expats or how the campaign has affected it? Just, I know you have stats, so I want to make every opportunity for stats to come out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the video that we made was the most viewed video we've ever had on YouTube. I think that the campaign is still ongoing, so we don't have all the like finishing stats, but it was extremely successful.
Well, we're down to the last question of the night. Well, before the interview, of course, because we record this out of order. If you imagine the ideal proof point 5 years from now, one headline or one project that can make you say the Explore Minnesota film experiment worked, what would that be?
Yeah, it's that Minnesota is a haven for indies. It's a haven for kind of like creativity, that it's a place where you get to incubate maybe your first, second film, before you move on to studio work on the coast. And also it's a place where you get to learn. We just landed one of our biggest projects. I'm gonna wait. So I was gonna say that we just landed our biggest budget project that's ever used a tax credit. It's looking to shoot this fall. And I'm excited for people to get back to work, right? And then also start to get into more regular work. Like I said, we've had 11 projects just this year that are in the queue. That's 3 times what it was last year. So we've been working really hard to promote the state and get people excited about coming here. And I'm excited for people to just, see the fruits of that work.
Commercials can apply for the tax credit, correct?
Yep, they can.
Okay. And I'm sorry for the plane. I live next to the airport. Maybe that's where I found a house. But I think I was hearing you correctly, is that you want people to think of Minnesota as a place for indies, and that indies can grow. And then what was the part after that?
Oh, I was saying indies. I wasn't talking about commercials, but I should, because the other thing that we know is that most of the work that's done in Minnesota is commercials. And I was just having a conversation with some commercial directors like 2 days ago, and not everyone is aware that you can bundle your applications if it's for the same client. And so that was really helpful to just make sure that folks know at all these different agencies that they can apply. We have some that are already in the program. We just had a target series of commercials get shot here this past month, which was great. And we're just really trying to get the word out and just build awareness and let people know we're open for business, we want you here, no matter what you're making.
I had a question there, I'm sorry. Sometimes the question, I'm usually very good at extemporaneous speech. Yeah. Second, I mean, like the ad thing, what you've probably heard, that we have the second most advertising jobs per capita after New York City, right?
Mm-hmm. I do know that.
Did that make it attractive when you were thinking about coming back here?
It wasn't a factor.
Yeah, all right. I like to think about it that, and we have the second most theater seats per capita after, again, New York. And you'd think LA or Chicago would be ahead of us, but I guess the population.
That's how it goes sometimes, I guess.
Can't
really control that.
I'll give you some more stats.
Please give us all the
great.
stats.
Let's end on stats.
Okay, so there's this cool report from Arts Midwest that was released like a couple days ago. I don't know if you all read it, but I recommend it. So they're saying you can look at stats for all the different states across the Midwest, but I'm just going to share the Minnesota ones. 7.7.
Did you wait for that plane?
Yeah,
to go?
Of course.
Yeah.
So these numbers are from Arts Midwest, and I can't read my own handwriting. All right, 7.7 billion earned by arts and culture workers in Minnesota. 138,000 in 260 artists living in Minnesota, 93,918 arts and cultural worker jobs in Minnesota, and then a ton of others. But what was really interesting is they're looking at, there's a ton of stats also about like folks who work in the music business too, and how many different music venues there are and seats there are and performances. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I'd recommend drilling into it. But one of the things they were looking at is like how artists across the Midwest seem to have higher rates of volunteerism, and then also are slightly less stressed out about some of the economic factors that other folks not living in the Midwest seem to be facing. So that's a good sign. And we're trying to just, like I said, promote Minnesota as a great place to live and also continue to make your work.
Well, for more information on Explore Minnesota, you guys have a website, right? What's the website?
It's exploreminnesota.com/film.
Awesome. All right. Well, stay tuned for Nell's
Can I
interview.
thank some of the people that, I think Catherine, they want to be thanked, right? Because they'll watch this. Thank you to Catherine who helped us set this up.
Wait for the plane.
Oh yeah. I want you guys to hear your thank yous. So Catherine Sutton, thank you very much. We got Christopher Morgan, thank you. Jake Juliot, did I say it? Julia. Oh no, that you don't pronounce the T. I love that. And I think I got everyone.
Catch you guys next time.
Okay, cool.
Bye. Thank you for listening. For more JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.